Welcome back. It's your best friends. It's Austin and
Sean,
what's up, baby?
not a whole lot. How are you?
I'm good. Before I answer the whole question, I'm going to say welcome back to our patrons and subscribers. Okay. So if you're a patron and a subscriber, there's your first welcome. If you're just a subscriber, here's welcome number two. Okay. And then if you're not a subscriber, welcome number three. So if you are a patron and a subscriber, you get three welcomes. That's crazy. All right. Head over to the pinned comment down there for the Patreon. All right. Other than that, though, I'm good, man. I'm really good. I had a good weekend and I'm ready to do this podcast.
I also had a good weekend. I'm ready to do this podcast. We did wait. Yeah, we didn't record long ago. I was about to say how was your Thanksgiving, but we literally had our
Yeah.
conversation the day after
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. So,
We did.
um,
It was
but
good,
yeah,
though, to answer your question.
well, that's good.
And
Yeah,
then the rest of my weekend was two thumbs up.
nice.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. It's a good
Saw
weekend for
some
me
more
too.
family.
Yeah, me too.
We didn't do drums this weekend.
We did not do drums this weekend, but we're doing
Crazy.
drums this upcoming weekend. So
Yes, we
that's
are. Can't
exciting.
wait. It is
I
very exciting.
instead puzzled and played games with my parents. That was fun.
What a G.
Um,
Very important.
I got I just realized I did not clear my background, but got some climbing shoes, so that's exciting.
Oh, nice. That is exciting.
Yeah.
Tell us about them.
They are the Evolve brand Shamans. And I've had them before, but they revamped them and I'm very excited for them. They're super comfortable. I just got done like I'm currently using the Instincts, but I just got a hole in them. So
Ah,
time to get some new shoes. And I feel like I also don't climb hard enough or outdoors enough to warrant repurchasing those same shoes because those shoes are pretty excessive. So
yeah.
going a little bit down in performance just because I don't think it's absolutely necessary. But
Makes a lot of sense.
they're great shoes. I've already had them before, so I'm definitely a fan. I
Let's
hear
tell
the
the
podcast in the
story.
background.
Yeah, yeah. She's in the background. She's meowing over there. Um, you know how I got my climbing shoes?
Oh,
You remember?
yeah, I
Bro, this is
remember.
so funny. So if you live in North Carolina and you're missing some climbing shoes, I probably have them. Okay. Here's why. We we went to this place up in Charlotte. Like, I don't know, dude. It was probably like 3 days in a row, climb, climb, climb. And then we waited like a week, came back, and then we waited like another whole month probably, and then came back to the same location. And let me turn my brightness up. And each time we came back, there were the same shoes there every single time with these black laces. They were like not in great shape, but I was like, dude, look at those shoes. Don't they look great? Like I could just walk out with those. Like I just joked about it one time because it's just in the lost and found, just sitting there.
I think it was
And
like the
then Sean
first or
was like,
second time you were just like, how
yeah,
long do you think those been there?
yeah. And then they were there again, and then all like a whole month went by and they were still there. And I was like, bro, I'm taking these. Like, no one is using these. I'm having to rent these freaking, I don't know how much it is, $13 or $12 or something for some shoes that
Yeah.
they spray like antifungal in. I don't want antifungals sitting on my feet. That stuff's terrible for you. Anyway, so like I steal the shoes. And then I was convinced I was going to wear them back to the same location.
And
And
someone's
some
gonna,
guy will be
those are
like,
my
yo, that's my
shoes.
shoes, dog. Like, I know that they're so unique, like so distinct because like one of them has a brown lace that's like tied to another lace and it's like
Oh,
so raggedy looking.
I didn't even notice that. That's
Yeah, it's
funny.
so they're so unique. Like if someone actually had those and lost them, they would 100% sure know that those are their shoes. And I would just be like, yeah, you're right, dog. Here you go.
Hey man, they work. I mean, you don't go to the climbing gym too
Nah,
often. They look very comfortable, so it's
they're
much
very
better than
comfortable.
paying however much it is to rent shoes every time. So
Yeah, and I don't want to buy them either. So got those for free. Thanks, whoever left your shoes at a climbing gym in Charlotte. I greatly
yes,
appreciate you.
yes.
Anyway, you
I
got an
thought you were
article?
going to, I thought you were going to tell the story about how I like scorpioned myself
Oh my
throw.
God. Yeah, you should tell that story, dude.
Yeah, so like one time we went climbing at the same gym and there's a route where you start on a hold and you do a dyno or like what's called a dyno, which is like a dynamic movement. You start on one hold and jump to the next hold essentially. You have to like jump backwards and you like catch it and your legs like swing out and
You
I
catch
like
it
looked at it.
underhand, right?
Yeah, you catch it like this. So I'm jumping like this and then catching like this for the people that are watching on YouTube. Um and I looked at it and I was like, that looks sick. I'm gonna try it. I had never tried it before. And so I went to go do it. and I caught it on my first go. And I was actually pretty hyped. I didn't think I was going to catch it on my first go. But the problem was my legs kept going. And my body wasn't ready for my momentum to keep going in that direction. So I
Yeah.
just slipped, fell like horizontal, and like landed on my face, and my legs just like went yoink, just
Yeah,
like
dude.
scorpioned above my head.
He looked like a scorpion, like for real. Like he looked like a scorpion that had its head like up like this, and then the like legs like all the way over the back, bro. I was convinced Sean was about to break his neck, and I was gonna have to take him to the hospital. I was like, "This is it, man."
It could have ended way worse.
There was
It
like, there's
hurt.
no spotting that I could do. Like there was no actual help I could do. So I'm just like, it was wild.
Yeah, it hurt. It definitely hurt. It didn't go, it wasn't the worst thing on the planet, so that's good.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's a funny story.
that's a funny
Anyway,
story.
I do have an article, but
You
do you want
do.
to give me a fact or fib first?
No, I want you to pull up the article so I could stall.
Okay. I do have an article.
But first,
We're brought
oh
to you by
my
cloudmusicsuite.com, your home for
God.
private music lessons. Come to cloudmusicsuite.com if you or someone you know is interested in taking private lessons with one of our world-class instructors. Come check it out. It's great. It's wonderful. This little UI right here, this front page, is going to get an update soon, so that's exciting.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Google is shutting down Stadia. I don't know if you heard about this.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So for those who are unfamiliar, I brought this up in the podcast before because I actually own Stadia, or I don't own Stadia. Google owns Stadia, but I own a Stadia controller and had a Stadia subscription. And basically, what it is a gaming streaming platform, right? So instead of your PlayStation with all the games that you own on it, you instead pay a subscription service and you purchase games through that platform, and then you get to play on your browser or on a Chromecast with their controller through their systems being streamed to your TV. So it's kind of similar in like concept to Netflix, right? You don't own or like play movies on your machine. It's being streamed from a machine somewhere else in the world to your browser. Pretty cool idea. And it was like only like $10 a month. But it is shutting down, and it's only, been alive for like 3 years.
Oof.
Which is pretty crazy. So Google is refunding all Stadia purchases, hardware, software, and DLC. Members of the Stadia team will be carrying this work forward in other departments at Google. So I've been periodically getting emails of money just getting funded back into my bank account of every DLC I've bought, the controller I got, the Chromecast I got, any game I purchased. I've just been getting money added back to my bank account because they're refunding literally everything. So it's pretty, I mean, as a user, I'm surprised that they're doing that. Like, I'm surprised that we're
Yeah,
not
I
eating
can't
those
believe.
costs.
I agree. I
I
can't believe
basically
they're
just got,
actually refunding it.
yeah, I'm like, I can't believe I basically just got 3 years of free gaming.
Yeah.
Like, I like,
They're not refunding the subscription though, are they?
I don't think so. I think they're
Yeah,
just
I
doing
don't
hardware
think
and
they should.
games, which
Okay.
makes sense, right? Like, if I purchase a $60 game, the assumption is I would have that game forever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, I mean, it'd be weird if
Wow.
PlayStation was like, we're discontinuing our PlayStation, so you have to return all your PlayStation games. You know? So, um, yeah. So Google is shutting down Stadia, its cloud gaming service. The service will remain live for players until January 18th, 2023. So very, very soon. Google will be refunding all Stadia hardware purchased through the Google Store. A few years ago, we launched the consumer gaming service Stadia. Harrison said Google sees opportunities to apply Stadia's technology to other parts of Google, like YouTube, Google Play, and its AR efforts. And the company also plans to.
Wait a second. Hold on. How would they apply Stadia's technology to YouTube?
I have no idea, to be honest. Maybe like interactive videos or something like that.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's just the first thing that pops into my head, right? Because
Can't
like
picture it, but
Google Play, so it's all about like playing and interacting with something that's happening on a server that's not on your machine somewhere else, but it's being streamed to you. So like, I don't know, maybe what they're saying is like, okay, instead of downloading apps to your phone, you can save the app space and like be able to play games streamed to your phone.
oh yeah,
Like maybe
yeah,
there's
yeah,
something
yeah, yeah.
there.
So this wouldn't change much, probably from a consumer standpoint.
No, probably.
It might
Well,
just make you have less storage cost, which seems like a bad thing for Google to want to do, because a lot of their current revenue is like people paying for storage. But anyway,
yeah, that's true. Well, it would be more cloud-based, right? So like people would be buying Pixel phones with less storage probably, but they would do things like, how iCloud has like the $3 a month like for
so you're
iCloud
saying
storage.
that it would benefit Google in that way because now they have to hold. But no, if you're saying the Stadia game, do you have to download it or you just buy rights
Stadia,
to it? No, no, like a game on Stadia.
you basically just buy rights to it. So it's like,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. They're not. You don't have to have any more storage space as an individual in order to play on Stadia because you're just buying the right to it. Google's holding those.
that's true. But I feel like in that scenario, it would just change the model. They'd probably change it to a subscription model than you purchase the individual app.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my
Probably
guess. I don't know.
makes sense.
Google detailed some of the fire points in the shutdown and the FAQ. Refunds will automatically be made through Google. Last year, rumors abounded it would shut down after the number of games released. The platform slowed and the company shuttered its in-house game development studios. So yeah, this thing happened very quickly. So they like released Stadia, and then within like a year, they were like, okay, we now have an in-house development studio. We're going to be developing Google developed games and putting them on Stadia, and then shut down. And like it seems like companies that were making games for Stadia were blindsided by it because days after like the Stadia was shutting down, new games were still like having in their trailers that they were going to be releasing on Stadia. Like the games that released their trailer like that day or within the last couple of days, because it's like they didn't know about it. So
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
that is pretty wild.
Yeah, that's mostly it. I'm gonna give this website like a 7. This is a pretty good
I
website.
think it's pretty good. I like it a lot.
They
That's
have ads, but
smart.
it's very minimalist.
Yeah. Right, that little smart whatever it is, it's moving with us is smart food. It's not the worst ad I've ever seen. It's not offensive to me.
Nah, not too bad. Not too bad. Um, but yeah, I find it interesting because I thought, I don't know, maybe it's like ahead of its time or something, but like I just thought that was going to be the future of games in the same way that like it seems to be the future of every other type of media that we consume. Netflix,
Yeah,
Hulu, Spotify,
I think it's
Audible.
probably ahead of its time, but I don't know when it's going to be a good, consistent experience for people to play online games specifically on something like Stadia. Because you told me like that lag is
It's pretty
unbearable
bad. It's pretty
sometimes.
bad.
Yeah, so like let's say I was wanting to play Halo or Call of Duty. These are or something like League of Legends. These are like split second decision type games where one decision that you make means you don't die in a particular situation. One decision means you do die. If that's out of your hands, no one is going to want to play those games. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So it kind of lends itself to a slower paced game period. And the slower paced games are not the ones that sell the big bucks. It's pretty rare that something like a Minecraft is one that like blows up into this huge game. Normally it's like the big cash cows are Call of Duty, Halo, something like Overwatch, where like people can get so far into the grind and the skill gap from like a beginner to someone who takes it really seriously is fucking huge because there's like so many different variables. Oh, dude, this is a such a sidebar. We're gonna come back to the Stadia thing, but dude, do you know what Smash is like? Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Like the old school.
Oh yeah.
So one of our guests, our first guest ever, who we're gonna have back on at some point,
Dude.
believes that this is the hard. Have you heard me argue with him about this?
Oh, I don't think so.
He believes this is the hardest game ever.
The hardest game ever?
Yeah, that's what I said. So without I want him to be able to like I want to be able to talk through it on the podcast so that people can hear. So because I don't want to like say his side of the argument, but here's my side of the argument real quick, just before we'll get him back on. Well, this will be a topic of conversation.
We should get him and Devin on the same podcast and debate us because they both love Super Smash Bros.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so I think inherently a 3D game will always be more complex than a 2D game. Period. Period. That's like 90% of my argument. And then the other percentage is a single player game will never be as complex in terms of overall success rate and achievement from game to game as a team game is.
Oh,
Something
you mean
without spawn points. Yeah, something without spawn points that are variable and changing. Something without weapon drops on the map. Something without 3 dimensions and something without team aspects can't be, in terms of like total possibilities of things that can happen that you have to control for, can't ever, like I'm thinking about Halo, thinking about some Call of Duty games, so much harder inherently.
yeah, I mean, there's I understand why like somebody who plays that game a lot would feel that it's a very, very difficult game because it seems like one of those things that's like it's very easy to learn, hard to master, right? The controls are simple, but if you're playing with somebody who's goaded, like it's really difficult. But
Yes.
you got to take in all the variables, right? Like the Super Smash Bros games, you can see everything that's happening on the screen, right?
Yep.
Like in Call of Duty, you don't know who's behind you. Uh, there's just a lot, there are weapons with different stats in other games, and you got to be prepared for that. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. I'd have to sit and like think about it because maybe he's thinking about like raw like Twitch skills and
He's thinking about
not
input. That was a lot of his argument is around input and like input
okay.
per second and stuff like that.
Because I think there might be an argument to that because Call of Duty would be difficult for a lot of other reasons. But I still wouldn't say it's the
Yeah, but I
I
pressed him on
can't
that.
say it's not the most difficult game.
Yeah. I pressed him on that and he kept coming back to the pure skill. But we're gonna let him defend himself because we're
Yes,
gonna have him back
yes.
on the podcast. So
We won't
I'm gonna let's
speculate too
come back.
much. That'll be
Yeah, no
interesting.
speculation. Yeah. So let's go back to the Stadia thing. Do you think that this is like, you know how Facebook has turned into Meta and
Yeah.
they're trying to focus all their efforts on the metaverse? Do you think this is a red flag for someone who believes in the metaverse? And like this is what's going to happen to Meta as well, because I agree that eventually this is probably where games are going to be, and I also agree that eventually probably the metaverse is going to be something that's very, very important and valuable to the world. I don't think in its current state it's going to be, and I don't think that in Stadia's current state it's ready to be like the tip top, I can play any game on this and this is the way we should play games, period. This is the standard. Do you think that this is it speaks to metaverse maybe not being something that's going to be adapted or adopted, I should say, soon?
Yeah, I think it could. I think we're realizing with I think the metaverse is going to be a flop for like a couple of reasons. One, because I mean, who's heard of anything that's going on in the metaverse lately? Like that was such a big
No,
transition,
not
and like it
me.
seems like we're not hearing anything about it. Two, it's probably not affordable. It's not something that like average humans are going to be able to use in like the near future, right? It's
Yeah.
going to be like top dogs of top companies that might be using it, but like that's about it. I think we're learning that technology has more limitation than we probably think it is.
Yeah.
Think there is. You know what I
It
mean?
has a lot of limitations.
It has a lot of limitations, but there's a lot of potential. Like I think the what's good about a lot of this is we're realizing like, okay, internet is not as far as we think it is. We can't push it to the limit of putting like, giving an input and having that input sent to a server and that server being sent to another server and then that server sending back to Google servers to go back to another player. Like our internet is just not good enough to be able to handle that kind of throughput.
Yep.
And that's like the more basic thing. And then the metaverse is telling us that, like, okay, like the technology is just not there yet for being fully immersed in a world to a point that it's going to be beneficial for anybody. Like, I remember when um probably like the first VR headset came out, or like the first, not even VR headset. Like, I think I remember there was some game on the Wii that was just like an open world, like you walk around, and it was like advertised as like it's fully immersive because you have the nunchucks and you can do this and that. And it's just like,
I remember that.
this is not what this is supposed to be. When people think about like the future, this ain't it. And it's like, it's kind of just like the technology just isn't there. And I think that's what we're learning with all of these experiments, for lack of a better word, like the metaverse, uh, Stadia, and like, to honest, I haven't heard anything about it, but probably Amazon Luna, which is the Amazon equivalent of Stadia.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Like, I think we're
I
just
haven't
learning that
heard
the
anything about
technology
it.
isn't there
Yeah, I agree.
yet.
Yet,
It's
yeah.
certainly
So, what do you
possible.
think? It's 10 years out, 15 years out?
At least 10. I'd be it's an interesting thought, because I feel like we went through a big dramatic increase in like technological innovation. I feel like there's something to be said. We might be like finding a plateau of some sort,
Mm,
because we're starting to realize like, oh, there might be more limitations than we thought, and we might have to dig in deeper to, I don't know, find different kinds of resources that can power
two thoughts on
make
this.
make the energy that we need to be able to,
Yeah,
have faster internet.
yeah. Two thoughts on this. So, number one, and these are both related to software engineering. So, this is not a personal attack on you at all. But I had a conversation with a friend of mine in probably 2019, maybe 2020, or before COVID.
I think I knew who
And
this
I
person is.
said, I told them, I said, hey, I objectively believe that software engineers are extremely, extremely overpaid for the value that the individual brings to the company. So the value that the individual brings to the company, I think, is way pushed too far because of the technological innovation spike that we've been on. And I told them, I said, the more and more this becomes a coveted job, the more and more people are going to realize that, oh, whoa, now there's more competitive nature in the space, and that inherently pushes prices down, and salaries are either going to start increasing at a realistic pace and still stay high, but it's not going to be these crazy, crazy increases anymore. You're not going to be able to go from Google to Apple and
Like jump
negotiate
100K or
going
something.
from, yeah, yes, bro. People are going from 200 after 2 years, going to their second job in their second year of being a professional, which, let's be clear, most people don't know jack shit until like 5 years of doing something every day in and day out. And they're getting a 350 salary. What fucking value are you bringing to the company? So that has over this past year, the cuts have started to become very, very like apparent to me. It's like, oh God, we're seeing it. We're seeing it. We're hitting these critical points in what we can do with what we have. And these people are just flat out not as valuable as they're getting paid. But the big tech space, like the FANG companies, have been paying so goddamn much for these employees who are doing the absolute bare minimum at their house, potentially working two jobs while doing it, making like
That's true.
900K. It's so stupid. Like, anyway, it's really, really saturated, and it's going to get more saturated. I kind of went down a rabbit hole, but my thought is the software engineer pay scale is so quickly, or has been so quickly increasing, that people who like the engineering type of work aren't going to be on the hardware side. They're going to choose to be on the software side instead, so that they can get paid more. And I don't have to go to the office. I don't have to fucking make these mock-ups. I literally can be at my house with my kids if I have kids, like walk downstairs and make lunch while I get stuck on a problem and get paid more to do that. So I think the limitations, it's going to hit a huge critical point where it's like, okay, the hardware does not support our software capabilities. And so many people are going to be so specialized in software that we're just going to be building things on clearly outdated, because of how fast the software is moving, outdated hardware. And the only people, in my opinion, who are close to like pushing it far enough is Apple. But look at what Apple's hardware has done over the past year. Like what, 7 years? How much better has the iPhone actually gotten over the past 7 years? It's literally a meme.
Yeah, it hasn't been changing that much,
You know, they've
especially on the
done a
phone side. The computer side though is a bit different. I mean, they like pretty heavily innovate their. I mean, they make their own chip now. They heavily
it's true.
innovate their display like pretty much every every iteration.
Yes.
Um,
And I'm not saying that the no progress is being made on the hardware side. But
sure,
what I'm saying is the progress on the software side is so fast that it's catching up extremely quickly to the hardware limitations.
it's gonna overtake the capability of
Yeah.
hardware engineers to innovate fast enough to keep up with it.
Yes. And then what
Uh,
what happens to all the software engineers when you're not valuable to a company, and you're not at least, let's say you get paid 120, and if you're not bringing at least, if you brought exactly 120 of value to the company, you're a fucking terrible investment for the company. You know what I mean? Bringing exactly 120 in terms of value is very, very bad for the company. So we need to be like 160, 170, 240 in terms of value for that individual person. And it's going to reach a point, and I don't know when that is, where this situation I'm talking about plays out. And I thought it was going to be way sooner than it was whenever I was talking to this person. But then COVID just like accelerated and made this whole thing way
that's
worse.
so true.
So I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but yeah, companies like Nvidia, like chip makers, like they're historically slow at making a new chip that actually like matters for them to put out. You know, like it's like such a long fucking process to make these chips and actually make them better than the last one. So it's like there's already a choke point there. You know. Anyway, so that's a thought that I've had a lot, and yeah, I told him like I don't know if software engineering is actually a good idea as a career, as a job. Yes, it's a great job. It's a great job to have, but if you're trying to make a 15 or 20 or 30-year career out of it, I'd be scared. So that was my opinion to him. I could be way off, and these salaries could just stay elevated as fuck. And remember, a lot of these stocks, these companies are publicly traded stocks. Investors care about profitability, and when they see that your total compensation to employees went up by 40%, but your profitability only went up by 8%,
That's true. Yeah,
everyone's going to be really mad. And then they sell the stock, and now you have less in your treasury that you can pull from. It's like it fucks them over. So they're infinitely and forever motivated to increase profits more than they increase expenses,
yeah,
and to increase profit more than they increase revenue. So if my revenue increases by 1 billion and that's a 10% increase, an investor wants to see an 11 or 12% increase in net income. And in order to make that happen, why does Apple beat their net income numbers, bro? Because they literally use slave labor. You
that's
know,
true. Yeah,
why can they pay the software engineers so much? Because they literally use slave labor. Why can Amazon pay their software engineers so much? Because they treat their warehouse employees and their drivers like dog shit. You know, and it is going to come to a head. I just don't know when, and it's good. I just don't know when. So
maybe there's something to be said about like maybe that would be good from a like to bring in like the power of the free market of like these software engineers losing their jobs at all of these like big dog companies. Like maybe that's what causes more software engineers that don't have the ability to become hardware engineers to start developing things that do compete against things like Amazon, because Amazon's profitability is going to start going down when they can't perform and they're overpaying software
yes,
engineers. So
yes,
then more things are going to come on the market, and it's like, okay, is Amazon the best thing for it? Because
mm,
no shame to Amazon, but their UI is kind of dated. Like
it is kind of dated.
If an Amazon like competitor shows up and it's got a very pretty UI, I mean, like I'd go buy my stuff from it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's something to be
yeah,
said about that, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, because I think Amazon, Apple, Google, these people own the market, and you know it would be
yes,
better for software to be treated like that, like a like a commodity that is, in the free market and people can compete for it. So that would be a benefit
Good
to that.
point.
But I think I agree.
No,
I
I
think I
agree.
agree
I
with you
agree.
generally.
Yes, I'm not saying it's going to be the world's not going to end when this happens, but what is going to happen is, unfortunately, what you're saying, like a lot of layoffs and cuts, or literally pay cuts. Like imagine, you know, I don't know, man. I know people in my personal life who won't get a if they don't get a quarterly raise one time, they're out, like they're gone. Not even a question. They're like, here's my 2 weeks. Like if they have that meeting, they hear that, oh, company's in whatever spot and you don't get a quarterly raise. Cool. I'll
I'm out.
never see
Yeah.
you again. Yeah. Like, but imagine you get a pay cut. Can you imagine? You know what I mean? Gone. Like everyone's out. Did you see
Yeah.
that?
No
I
way.
can't remember what big tech company it was, but it was basically like, hey, we are opening up you laying yourself off. So here's an application for you to lay yourself off, and you get a 6 month severance, and you get this and that and this and that.
It's like the Hunger Games. I
I
volunteer as
know,
tribute.
bro. They were like, here's the deal. Like we need to make some cuts, but we love you.
Oh
And
my
then
God,
yeah, so they were
dude.
like, you get this much severance, you can negotiate this much, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So it's happening like in front of our eyes, you know. And I don't think the full magnitude of what I'm talking about is happening in front of our eyes. But like you said, it is a good thing. It is a good thing for moving the market forward. And I don't mean the stock market. I mean the economy, I should say.
Right.
It's a
Like,
good thing for moving the economy forward. The free market, as in when I choose to buy storage from someone, that storage cost is going to come down over time. You know what I mean? Because things are going to get easier. We're going to make better hardware. We're going to make better chips. We're going to make better computers that can run these things that I'm storing my files in, basically.
yeah. It will just, I think it'll just shift. Like like I think software engineering was just kind of a luxurious career that was advertised over the years for, a number of reasons. And I think that's why a lot of people chose to do that. I mean, money is one of them, but like if you look at all these big tech companies, they're putting a lot of money into like, especially when they're in the office, like cafeterias and
Yeah.
gaming locations, and it's like you can stay here forever, and we want you to.
Ah,
And but then also
yikes.
working from home, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now we're
That
at a
seems
point
to
where
be
it's just
ending
like,
though.
what, working from home?
Yeah, Snapchat just said all their employees need to come back.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
noticing that too. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that might add, push more people to go towards hardware as well, because they're going to
Yeah.
be working physically anyway. And
Yep.
yeah, there's definitely going to be a demand for it. So
For sure.
that's interesting.
Yeah. Just some thoughts I've had just rattling around up there.
I definitely agree that software engineers get paid way too. Like I think about that from a personal perspective as a software engineer, and then also thinking about the type of people that I graduated with, where I was just like, what's a nice way to say this? I don't want to be a douche, but like, there are a lot of software engineers out there. Let me just put it that way. There's a lot of
Yes.
different kind of people out there, and
Yes.
different kinds of employees, and it's pretty radical that all of those people are likely making above, 6 figures, which is pretty gnarly. So I don't
Fucking
know.
silly, bro.
It is pretty silly.
Yeah. So I just think it's not sustainable and it can't last. But
What did this person say? Did they take offense to it or anything?
no,
They,
no, no. They're a good person. It was well, I don't want to say any details, but
okay.
they work at a big company now.
Yeah.
And they do well, you know. Um, and I knew they would, but once again, my opinion. Maybe this is just because my opinion on any job is that it's just a job. I want to do my best at it. I'm gonna take pride in it. I'm gonna make sure my values are upheld on my end, and I do very good work. That said, I am not married to one. I'm not even married to one industry. I don't give a shit. Like whatever pulls me is probably the thing I need to do. Number one, and number two, there are so many ways to make money outside of a job that I'm just not. I'm not gonna do something that I fucking hate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do something that I can't see myself doing for a decent amount of time and stay stable while doing that. You know what I mean? I don't want something where I'm going to burn out after 3 years. Um, yeah, I don't know. And I don't want an industry where it's like, uh, uh,
Yeah, that's
gotta
fair.
speak nice to my boss or else,
Yeah.
might get laid
Yeah,
off.
things are gonna explode.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like, hope they give me severance package. Maybe they won't.
that's
And then
fair.
your
I think
your
that's a
fate is in
healthy way
someone
of
else's
looking at it
hands.
because it allows you to be realistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people are stuck in the, I'm married to this one thing and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I graduated from college with this degree. So this is obviously going to be my career. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. It probably won't be. Like, you might go down a different track, find different interests. And, like, 40 years later, that, you might not be needed in this regard anymore. You might be needed in another regard.
Yeah.
I think that position that you take is like, it allows for that ambiguity and recognizing that, like, I'm not going to be here forever, which is, I
Yeah.
think,
It's true.
realistic and logical.
Yeah,
So,
you could take that sentence you said in a lot of ways, but um that you're not going to be here forever. Whereas
yes,
here, you know what I mean? Anyway,
that's true.
I had another thought based on that. I fucking lost it. Oh, I think just to speak on why people have wanted to become software engineers, uh, you need time. And a lot of people value time. If you're someone who values time, software engineering is probably a decent route to go because generally you're not going to be extremely booked on a crazy basis. And you're not going to be like, from my understanding, I don't know of a company personally who is like very much over your shoulder, making sure you get a certain amount of hours. They rather want you to make sure you're being productive. And they don't, in general, they don't care about how much time it takes you to be productive. They just want you to be productive. So they're not like wholly stressed about how many hours you're putting in, which is good. That's good for the person who values their own time. There are many other careers that you can value your own time, but there's also a lot that I'm thinking of that you can't. You really can't, and it's gonna suck your whole fucking life away for what? To make some money so you can spend that money on things that you actually enjoy because you don't have time to enjoy things. So you take a once a year vacation for 15K and blow half your savings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will. I'm not. I'm not gonna be that person.
Same.
Yeah,
I can't. I
I
can't
know
be
you're
that
not.
person.
I know you're not. And it's just like, no, I have to have an exit strategy for every job I'm in, and that just having that exit strategy for every job I'm in requires me to have the next thing that's a way bigger opportunity in front of me. Yes, I'm going to keep that stable thing that I have, but I need the next thing that's a far bigger opportunity. That opportunity may not come to fruition. I might flop on it. I might be wrong on it, but opportunity, it always, maybe not always, but most of the time has inherent risk in it. But I can de-risk that by staying employed with an employer, you know?
Yeah. I think, you know, a lot of people find a lot of fulfillment in things like gardening, and I think this is like, you could apply this concept to what we're talking about. Like, the side projects is like a garden and like planting seeds, and it's like some of them might die, but like, you're
Yeah.
trying the best to keep all of them up and going because you might want to eat those tomatoes later if shit hits the fan. So anyway, so
So
all
true.
that
So
to
true.
say, you should go to cloudmusicsuite.com, check
Hey!
out check out some
Speaking of
lessons,
opportunity,
baby.
baby. Oh man, speaking of opportunity as well, HomeBiotic. Okay, I was just
Woo!
using this in my what's it called? I always like mess up the appliance names because I'm a dumb male. So the what's it called, bro?
A
Washing machine.
dishwasher,
There we go. No,
washing
no, no,
machine.
no, no. Washing machine. I always say dishwasher, and then I call the dishwasher the washing machine. So
Yeah.
the washing machine, I just used this in there yesterday, and then I sprayed it around the sink, because like all the water gets it. So yeah, anyway. So made sure that I'm not breathing in more mold spores than I need to. And I don't want my cat to get sick either. Okay. What if my cat's allergic to mold? I don't know, bro.
That'd be sad.
So HomeBiotic, it's got a bunch of soil-based organisms in there, and it kind of outcompetes all the mold. I've been using this for probably 7 years. 5 years.
Hey.
5 years. 5 years. 5 years.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Good stuff.
Oh yeah. Check out the link in the description. Get
Oh
yourself
yeah,
some
forgot to say that.
HomeBiotic.
Yeah. Importante.
Also, while I'm at it, like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to us on Spotify, come check us out on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're on Spotify. So go check us out. And we have a Patreon. You can go check out a link in the description. There are 3 tiers, and I'm always going to butcher those 3 tiers. So
Yeah,
what
I'll
are they,
tell you what
Austin?
they are. Yeah, they're the your best acquaintance. They're the your best buddy old pal, and then of course your best friend is the tip top tier.
Wow.
So even the most expensive tier is, I'm sure, less than a cup of coffee a month. So go ahead over there and help out the show by, maybe we'll be able to get a recording set up, if you're able to help out the show a little bit with the Patreon. All right.
Listen,
so
it's not just money you're giving us, it's content that you're getting for
hey, baby.
paying for a Patreon subscription. So every time that we are about to record a podcast, we turn on the camera, we have a little pre-show party, have some conversations that you don't see in the episode. So go check it out.
It's true. Told some hilarious stories today.
Yeah, we got a good one today.
In the pre-show party. Also, once we get our first patron, we're going to do our first deep dive. But we're not going to do our first deep dive until we have our first patron. So we'll see. Whenever that happens, it happens. And I'm not going to stress about it. But it's going to be a good time.
Yes, it's going to be a good time.
Also, since we're pimping our own shit, my own personal channel. I call it my main channel, it has more subscribers than the podcast channel. Can you imagine? We've been doing this podcast for like 40 something weeks. You know what I mean?
Dude,
40 weeks. That's a long time. You know what I mean? But somehow my main channel, which I've been doing for less than half the time, which has less than half the videos, has more subscribers. That's disrespectful. Okay. Sean takes that very personally.
I take that personally. You should you don't.
He was actually crying in the pre-show party.
Dude, it was really sad. You should go pay just to see it. And you know what it tells me is, it tells me that there is a half of this podcast that you prefer, and I would prefer if you go to the Patreon and subscribe and come subscribe to this channel.
Yes got to
Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you for watching. All right, I have for me. Yeah, I got an effective tip for you. Okay, ready? Paper does not come from trees. It actually comes from these little things in the ground that are similar to beans. We process them and then kind of pulp them up and turn them into paper. That's my factor fib. Does paper actually come from trees, or does it come from like a legume type bean from the ground?
I feel like this is a trick question, because I feel like paper has been made from multiple different material.
I wouldn't give you a factor fib that's like, hey, both. If that helps, helps your answer.
That's fair. I'm gonna say fact.
It's a fib, baby.
Damn.
Got you, boy.
I went with my gut. It seems like one of those. For some reason, my brain was like, "This is another one of those like lead is not lead in pencils." Like, you know,
it's not lead in pencils, dude. Yeah, you're right.
It's graphite.
If it was, that'd be very alarming. All right. Yeah, it's a carbon structure called graphite. Look at you, dude, being all smart.
So don't even come trying to hit me with that factor fib, because I know that one. I got that one in the bag.
I won't.
Dang, got my ass.
You know tinfoil?
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't tinfoil, boy.
Tin.
It's aluminum foil.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here with that shit.
It's true.
Dang,
this is a good one. You got me.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Did you know, dude?
Oh.
All right. This is not a factor fib, but this is just like a thing I think about. You ever looked at your like shirt tags and stuff to see like what they're made out of?
No, actually.
So there's a bunch of plastics in our shirts.
Dang, really?
Yeah, like polyester, like rayon.
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. It's the worst.
It's not good.
It worries me so much, man. Like, why do we have plastic so closely associated with our body for 16 hours a day, if not more? Like, some people sleep with their socks on. Plastic all up in them babies.
No, that sucks.
It's unfortunate, man.
Good. I definitely did not. I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy.
And like a lot of people wear like 50-50 polyester cotton shirts and stuff like that. or like fully polyester shirts. Like that was a thing, really big thing for a while. It's like moisture wicking or whatever. Man, I just don't think they're good for our hormones. There's research to support that as well, but my opinion is in line with that research that says plastics are just flat out just not good for you.
Yeah, they're not very good for your body.
No. Yeah, like we switched to like all glass Tupperwares and stuff like I don't know, a few years ago.
Nice.
Would recommend
Yeah,
highly.
I want to get some of those. I want to get some reusable napkins too. I don't. I use
Yeah, dude.
like a lot of paper towels, and I
So I
don't want
didn't
to.
my family we grew up with always using like cloth napkins. And like when you come over to my house we have like cloth napkins.
Yeah,
I never knew until I was probably in high school that some people did like they just use like paper towels and like
we've
paper napkins and stuff.
always used it.
Yeah, like I didn't know that. I had no idea. So I, and the way I figured out was someone would be like, "Yo, do you have any napkins?" And I would give them a napkin, like a cloth napkin, and they'd be like, "Oh, we fancy, huh?" And I was like, "What? I don't get it." And I was like confused.
Yeah,
Or I would ask someone for a napkin, and they would hand me a paper towel. I was like, "Oh, paper towel? All right, cool." Like that's fine. Like I'm not offended by it. I was just like,
yeah,
"Dang, that's wild."
that's weird.
So I guess they call this a napkin. This is definitely a paper towel though. So
Yeah,
I was like so confused. Like we always had paper towels to like clean up spills or like if something's like really
sure.
dirty or gross or like to clean the window or whatever. But as like something to dry your hands, it would be like a hand towel in the kitchen, or if you're like wiping your mouth or whatever, it'd be a napkin, like a cloth napkin.
Yeah, we had cloth napkins for things like anytime we had Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner, we had
Makes
cloth
sense.
napkins that we used
So I
for
guess that's why people
those.
say it's fancy, because it's supposed to be like
Yeah,
an
special
occasion.
occasion, and you see them at restaurants too, right? Like very
Oh yeah,
very few places you go to and they give you like a paper towel, or I mean some people
yeah.
will just put a paper towel roll like on your table. I guess that's more like a sports bar dealio.
Definitely a
But
sports bar thing. Yeah.
um like if you go to like I don't know, Firebirds or something, they're definitely giving you a some cloth napkins. Yeah, I don't know. I'd prefer to do that. I think you just well, I mean, you save money on it, and it's just more environmentally friendly. So
Yeah.
I want to get some.
Do it.
They're not expensive either. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I should get some.
I don't know what you're waiting for either. You can go on Amazon tonight and buy them bitches.
I could go buy them tonight. Yeah, I should.
Yeah, do
Anyway,
that. What's your thought of the week, man? Just to let you know, in the pre-show party, I was talking about how my iPad doesn't have that much battery. We're at this many percent.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll try
So,
to
what's your thought of the week?
I'll try to keep it concise.
No, you don't have to. If I just drop off the call, it means my iPad died.
Then it will be your best friend
That's exactly right.
for the last minute of the episode.
Yes.
Um, I was just thinking, I kind of touched on this a couple weeks ago. I think a couple weeks ago, my thought of the week was about how important it is to like journal and like get your thoughts out on paper. But this week is a little bit more, it's the same thought, but from more of a productivity standpoint. Uh, you knew me in high school and you remembered that, like, I don't know if you remember, but I wrote down everything in an analog journal, like no matter what. I
Yes.
didn't use digital anything for my productivity stuff, like Google Calendar. I didn't use a to-do list app. I didn't use the notes app. Anything. I actually have a notebook right here. Anything that I wanted to write went into my daily notebook, and it was like a bullet journal. If anyone's ever heard of that system, nice. That's what we like to see. That looks like a menu actually, or that looks like that someone's coming by and is like, "Hey,
Oh, it's got like a
uh,
little thingy. I don't want to show you on my notes, but
sure,
it's got a little thingy, and like you slip the thing in there. It's like this leather fancy
yeah."
little
It looks
thing.
like I'm supposed to slip my card in there, and then the waitress is gonna grab and come by and
Ah,
grab it
yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I, since going to college, like my habits with like putting things in a physical journal fizzled a little bit. And then on the later years of college and starting a professional life, I've started to migrate more towards using like a Google Calendar and like a to-do list app and a notes app. And I still do a daily to-do list in here. So I start my day every day writing down a couple of physical to-dos. But like whenever I'm walking around, on the street and like think of an idea or an event, I'll just like throw it into Google Calendar or my notes app or to-do list app. And I was like thinking the other day, and I was just like, why do I feel so scatterbrained right now? And I was just like, I
Mm,
think I want to go back to trying. It's a little bit more work, but I think there's something so beneficial about taking the time to intentionally write down physically everything that you do in your life in one notebook, because I think it forces you to prioritize more. Like, I think if you have a Google Calendar, it's easy for you to like like react when things come your way, and just randomly put things in your schedule and put things in your to-do list, even if you can't commit to it, or even if you're not even sure you want to commit to it. Like, versus if you're writing it down, I feel like it forces you to think about like your schedule at a deep level and be like, okay, is this something I want to spend my time doing?
makes
Because you
sense.
actually have to spend the time writing the words out. You can actually sit down and think like, is it worth it? Do I want to spend my time doing this instead? I don't know. There's a little bit more intention to it, and I was thinking I might want
There's
to
a
try
lot more
to
intention to it.
might want to try making that a part of my habit again. It's just putting everything in a notebook.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
Everything for work that I do is written on a handwritten journal. All my plans are in a handwritten journal. If I'm having a meeting with someone, I have handwritten meeting notes that I want to talk through. My to do things, to do list is a handwritten thing. Yeah. And then anytime I need to get some like extra clarity, I I'm not gonna get that clarity by looking at my notes app on my phone. I have all kinds of things on the notes app on my phone. I use it. I definitely use it. But if it's something actually is gonna come of it, I need to take it out of the notes app and write it down and like sit with it and hang out with it and look at the paper and be like, I'm with this or I'm not with this.
Yeah.
And even like, you know, with the group we teach a group called Paradigm Progression. A lot of the work I do is like, hey, remember this thing, remember this thing, got to make sure we do this, got to make sure we do that. And I make these long posts that are like, I don't know, check in type things. I have to write out my bullet points. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just, if I just try to do it all on the phone with my thumbs, I'm going to be like in 1,000 different directions. I'm literally going to get distracted in the moment of like, this just feels like fake. I feel disconnected, scatterbrained, like you said. So yeah, for me, scatterbrained always means I'm disconnected from my surroundings. And
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
the literal
Lost
pen
in
to
the
paper,
sauce.
yeah, the literal pen to paper forces me to be actually there in that moment writing that thing, you know, or else I can't form the word that I'm trying to form or put the next word on.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try to do that a little bit more. I think it's important. It's also nice because like I used to start in my day with the notebook, and now I feel like I
Yeah.
don't do that. And I think having an
Mm,
analog start and end of the day is kind of nice, because you're not, things aren't grabbing your attention when you first wake up, and things aren't grabbing
good
your
point.
attention right before bed. So
I've had a
so
pretty trash like morning, uh, I don't know, like not routine, but like process. My mornings have been so bad in the past few months.
me too.
I need to fix that shit. I'm just like strolling and I'm like, I can, it's fine, I'll be late. Like I'll just take 15 minutes to do all these things that I apparently need to do rather than 45. And it's like, I don't know, it's not ideal for a lot
Yeah.
of reasons.
No, I'm with you. I definitely relate to that as somebody who works from home,
I
because
bet.
I'll be like, I'm gonna wake up early tomorrow and do X, Y, and Z before I get my day going, and then I'll like wake up and I'll be like, snooze. It's always a balance. Just like,
It
is
happens.
sleep gonna benefit me more right now, or is the thing that I
Dude,
was like,
it's always a trap, bro. Like,
it is a trap. Yeah.
yeah, like literally thinking that the extra 30 minutes of sleep is actually going to be restful at all. I think unless it's 90 minutes, and this is pretty well proven as well,
Yeah.
unless it's a full REM cycle, fucking waste of time anyway. You know?
Might as well wake up. You feel like shit
Yeah.
because you woke up in the middle of a cycle, and it's like, well, now we're here. So,
Now we're here. It's not
oh
like I
well.
can wait. I can't delay my day another 90 minutes just to,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
But yeah, that's my
Well,
thought of the week.
we better wrap this
Wrap
thing
it
up. About
up.
1%. Oh God. All right.
All right.
So this was a good episode. I enjoyed it.
Yes,
Just
me too.
riffing, it's been a while since we just riffed on some stuff. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and like and subscribe and check out the Patreon in the pinned comment and share it with a friend. If you're still listening right now, this clearly means enough to you for you to share this with a friend. Let them know this is an important part of your day or important part of your week. That would mean the world to us. Okay. So, got any closing thoughts, Sean?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Well, we love you. If you're still listening, for sure, you're a real OG and you have a special place in our heart. It's been your best friends. It's Austin and
Sean, thank you.
we love you.
We love you.